All right, JJ, welcome back to Face. The inflation problem is over,
Well,
right?
that's great. That's great.
And are you popping any champagne corks here?
I'm an inventory trader, coach. Good to see you.
Yeah,
Good to hear
yeah,
you
nice
again.
to have you back. So,
Yeah.
uh, speaking about inventory, is there any inventory above the market right now,
Well,
or are
we've
they
got a
just
little
clean it all out?
we've got a little bit. I had a 52.82 target for this morning and we blew past that.
Yeah,
We're right back at near the all-time highs of that
right.
53.30 split, contract adjusted. And once the inventory's underneath us, these futures markets are all spec, right? They're,
You want to
you
share your
know,
screen, JJ, while we're
yeah,
talking?
sure.
Yeah.
I'd
All right,
love
buddy.
to. Oh, can't do it just yet.
Blake, can you unshare?
Oh, sorry, my bad. Okay,
All
here we
right,
go.
No
Sorry, I
all
was
worries.
right. That's
trading.
okay. All right.
Yeah, so I've got some zones and some levels here, and I'm an old market profile guy.
Yeah.
So you could see the inventory is completely all under 52.55. That was a big level for me. Once we got over that, it's pretty much clear sailing. There's only, coming from being I'm a distribution. I was a distribution trader, meaning that I would sell huge positions for insiders. So then I'd have to go clean out the market afterwards. So I know a little bit about overhanging inventory, and that's all the overhang we have now. So the other thing is everybody's been shorting the front side of this move, and that's been adding fuel to the fire. There's gaps that haven't
Right.
been filled. There's single prints, which is a market profile. Here you've got single prints, the bottom of tonight's profile. The overnight is right where the shorts are trapped from yesterday, right when we took the high of 2 days ago, right? When you blew those stops, that's where the responsive bid was in the overnight. And you can look at that profile. It's big and fat. It only had
Yeah.
one way to go. I took a little test short, stopped myself out before the data, and that told me, oh, the bid's in there strong. Yesterday, the same thing with data. We had a little flush down, and yesterday we flushed down. We came right into that 52.20 area, and that's right where we had single prints from the ninth, and there was a beautiful responsive bid. Because basically what happens on these liquidations with you got so many short positions in this market is that the shorts come running through the door like those Black Friday shoppers when they open the door at Walmart, they just they bum rush the security guard, right?
Yeah.
And when lower prices come in, that it's really indicative of a market that's really, really short. The price action, I'm really hoping we get some liquidation one of these days because it'll give us better price action.
Okay. Yeah, it's hard to, if you weren't long, there's really not
Yeah,
much to do right here, is there?
I'll wait for a distribution balance because what they're going to do is now that they've got everybody jammed short under 52.80, they'll sit there and distribute at 52.96 to 53.04. So what we're going to do is I'll wait. They'll establish a little two-sided balance zone. Then I'll double it to the top and bottom, and I'll trade that and trade the rotations during the day. So
Okay.
that's how I trade. I wait for them
Yeah.
to take the goods to market. I don't try and get on the truck before it leaves the loading dock. Usually that's a risky trade.
Hmm.
I'm pretty risk averse.
Yeah.
So yeah, and just sticking to one product works for me.
Okay.
Because you get
Yeah,
to
you
know the
get to
order
know it
flow.
like the back of your hand.
Yeah, it's like dating one girl instead of dating four or five. You
Yeah.
know when she's upset, you know when she's in a good mood. You know
Yeah.
when to stay away and hide in the garage. Um,
Yeah. True,
hey,
buddy.
yeah, they're backfilling now,
Yeah.
right?
So where
Right.
would you expect the backfilling to stop? Around prior
Um,
highs at 52.80 would be
yeah,
logical?
I mean, if you take a quick look at I've got a very simple, just a 5 minute chart with volume profile on it. You can see here's the distribution. Here's that big chunk of volume, right? And it's all about cost basis, right? So this is the major cost basis one. This is some distribution. That's why we were going back and forth here. Now they'll rail it up, and as soon as we run out of buyers, they'll just backfill all the way down to that 76.80 level, right? But the problem is every time this market takes a little dip, people initiate short, and that really helps hold up the bid when we run.
Yeah.
This thing trades very much. I'd never thought I'd see the world's most respectable market trading like a rigged penny stock, but because the, you know, because the revenue model of US capital markets is, an asset gathering model as opposed to a commission-based revenue model, the way it used to be in the old days, people get paid to hold positions, and they just warehouse stock. That's why you look at Apple; it's got 16 billion in the float. A big day for Apple is over 100 million shares. There's, you know, people buy that stock, they put it away. You could imagine the certificates probably have dust on them if they had certs.
Yeah. Yeah. Interesting. Do you think that the meme action we've had for the last couple days, what do you think of that? I mean, it's
I,
like a
I
replay of what happened a few years ago.
definitely. What I think is that they've got aged paper. I don't know if you know a lot about 144 paper.
Yeah,
I
it's
know AM's.
restricted.
Yeah, when restricted paper comes due, it's usually time to pay someone to get the punters to come in, right? Because they got to
Yeah,
blow off more paper. AMC, didn't they just do a $3 raise on this thing?
I'm
Right. So
not
that's,
sure.
yeah. So you did a $3 raise, you crank the stock up to 14, sell it all the way down, hold it over five so people can hold it, that $5 penny stock rule, right? And look at
Yeah,
the dollar volume. I mean, yesterday these stocks traded, what is it? GME traded over $10 billion in dollar volume. It's traded almost $1 billion this morning pre-open, right? AMC's traded $338 million pre-open. The way I look at these companies is as a liquidating trader for investors, how much of that dollar volume can I capture? 30%, 40% for the insiders?
yeah,
And that's how big money is made. The funds write convertible debentures, and they get a nice chop to current market price. Then, of course, some knucklehead comes out on Twitter and says, buy the stock, and the thing runs. But now, when the street takes a stock, it's just amazing the kind of dollar volumes, things that we could only dream of in the 90s and 2000. I mean, you'd never think of some company that nobody ever knew of, trading $10 billion worth of paper in a day. And
no,
if you're 30% of that, that's a good day, you know.
yeah, yeah.
If you're, even 30%
It's a
of
good year.
it's a good year, right?
Yeah,
So, and then the nice thing is they use the shorts to prop the thing up. I don't know how these retail guys trade this thing because they halt, they release, they halt, they release. That's too much for me. I wouldn't trade them as a retail guy, but I definitely love to make a market in these things, or to be the executing trader for the insiders. That would be a wonderful day. You just filling bids all day,
yeah,
and when you have cheap paper, you never saw a bid you didn't like,
yeah.
you
Interesting.
know. Yeah.
Uh, so there's GameStop, AMC, same story, right?
Yeah, same story. I mean, it's just they just keep coming for it. Look at 338,000 trades pre-market. There is, so much retail participation in these deals now. It's wonderful. I might start doing deals again. I saw I saw a 30-cent stock trade $300 million in dollar volume yesterday. And all the news releases were NASDAQ delisting and failure to file.
Wow.
So
Yeah. What I mean, these are games.
this is, I mean, it's a beautiful
It,
game if you're long cheap paper. If you can get,
okay.
if you can get stock at a discount, that's one thing I learned. I mean, I've never actually ever paid for stock in my life because I always work for these companies and they give me
Yeah.
S8 stock, or the insiders pay me after, I help liquidate their stock and create markets. So I've never actually had to pay for stock. It's one of the rules I learned in 1990, from my first boss. And but it's, as a retail person, it's hard because they see that price going up, and this is just to get everybody all excited, and then you just sell right into it, um, and it's just amazing. I'm blown away how much retail participation is coming into these things. Looks like the ES is
Richard, Brand just said, watch the legislators mess with this retail
well,
guys.
well, yeah. I mean,
What can they do though? What can they do?
what can they do? As long, here's the thing about the Exchange Act of 1933. Um, there's something called 17B. If you disclose that you're going to sell your stock into the market and you've paid for your stock, you disclose you're going to sell your stock, even if you disclose you've paid someone to pump the stock for you, you're okay. Disclosure is everything in the US, and that's the beautiful thing about the US capital markets. As long as
Okay.
you disclose, you can do anything you want. Now, the retail person off the street, they're trading off cell phones, their trades get frozen, brokerage firms go down, so it's harder for them, of course, right? I like trading. That's why I like futures because there's no dilution. You don't have somebody with, you know, a pipe or a convertible debenture dumping stock into a market when you're trying to buy it. Um, you know, it's that's why I kind of gravitated to the futures after I was in stocks for so many years. ES, by the way, seems to have found a 5288 bid, and looks like we're just going to
That's it.
distribute up here. Yeah.
Yeah. So that 80, that was the prior high. So
Yeah,
like we were
yeah,
talking earlier,
yeah.
85, I think was the prior high, but close enough for government work, right?
Yeah,
So
definitely. Yeah, it's been a tough trading environment for retail in these futures markets because the ranges are so big and people try and catch these ranges. And so what I like to do is, I'll either trade this range or when they move it, and then I'll find a nice balance here and then trade the edges of that balance. Um, I I try and leave this alone, um, just because I'm sitting at home on a regular internet connection. I don't have the technology. The last time we had a Fed thing, everybody's screens froze up. So I'll wait till the price action calms down. We put in a nice rotation, and that way you can hit the look below and fail. So when it looks below, comes back up, you take it up to the next level. And I trade for income. I don't trade for glory. So just trying to make my daily bread and live a peaceful
I love
life,
that. I
you know?
trade for income, not for glory.
Yeah,
That's
you know.
beautiful.
I'll leave that
Right.
to the young kids with the Red Bull.
Yeah. Like we used to be.
Yeah, like we used to be, right?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
when I was on the desk, we were all commission guys and we'd be charging 5% commission, to promoters and they'd get their stock for free, so they didn't care. And these young kids on the desk get maybe 300-400 grand a month in commissions they'd be making. And then I remember there was one brokerage firm that had just nothing but grinders. And these guys like wore the bargain basement sweaters, brown bagged their lunch to work, but they were always liquid. They just made their money every day for 15, 20 years. And anytime like one of the kids blew up and needed to borrow a couple of 100 grand, they went to these guys,
Yeah. Yeah.
because
Yeah.
they were always liquid.
Yeah. It's an interesting perspective that, you know, guys that have had careers for a long time, were able to see. And we're kind of seeing it again in the more modern age. It's probably going on right now,
Oh yeah.
buddy. I mean, probably some, penny stock firms or some of those, who's probably getting hurt are the professional short sellers
Oh yeah, shorting
in the
is.
penny stocks.
Oh
That's all
yeah.
they do is,
Yeah.
because most of those deals would fail. They just
Yep.
come in and short the stock, and I think they were market makers too. But yeah,
Yeah, it's hard now shorting because the capital requirement, you got to get the borrow now. I mean, ever since Reg Show in 2005, they just sort of changed everything that made it very difficult for short sellers. And, the market's already, kind of made up for longs, right?
yeah,
And, hey, this guy's saying, isn't Grinders a dating app? That's hilarious. Um, you know, but
yeah,
everything's sort of rigged to hold, right? I mean,
Yeah.
funds are getting paid 2 and 20, right? So,
Right.
you manage $1 billion, you get 2% to not trade. Short selling is a tough game these days. It's a really tough game these days.
Yeah.
And I don't like fighting the tape because you just end up getting run over. So I don't mind hit and run shorts. That's okay with me, but holding short positions and warehousing shorts is that's a era gone by.
Yeah. Maybe that's why guys like trying to think of his name. He was famous for, being a bear on China.
Oh,
And
Chanos.
yeah, Chanos.
Yeah.
His fund got wrecked.
Oh, geez, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he lost
But
billions,
yeah.
The thing is that when there's no supply, you can't short. If the insiders have the stock locked up, how are you gonna get supply? You need a liquidating seller to short to push the price down. Otherwise, if there's no price competition, price doesn't go down. And people will just find that out even now. Look, I'm sure people hit that short here, and the late shorts are probably short under 92. They've realized that they're trapped. Now look how they're pushing price back
Yeah.
up.
Right.
You just see it in every single time frame. I don't mind shorting. I used to be a short seller. I was trained by John Fierro. Fierro brothers in the 90s. I mean, the guy used to wear a bulletproof vest to work because he was such a hated short seller.
Wow. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
all those guys are retired now. It's you might as well just go long.
Yeah. And the spreads.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. The spreads and the old days too. Remember, if you were short a deal and there was no selling, you'd call up one of the block guys and have them spread a rumor that somebody was shopping a block at a discount, right? And then at least
Right.
people would short it, and you could cover and save a little face, you know. But you can't do those things anymore, right?
Yeah.
So it's such a different game. It's such a different game. And stock borrowing that's a business in itself now. I don't even know what it costs now to put borrows on some of these deals, especially the hard to borrow ones, right?
Yeah.
And then they can yank that borrow back without any notice, and you've got to cover by end of day.
So you run a Discord room and
I do,
talk
sir.
about these things all day long. You want to talk about that a little bit? What you do, your
Sure,
business model?
definitely. Yeah, I'm VWAP Trader One
X.
on X on Twitter,
Yeah.
and it's microefutures.com. And I'll
Okay.
pull up the website here.
Go ahead.
And what we do is we just try and train people so they can make a living. That's our whole thing. We've got a 7-day trial going now, so come drop by. It's free. Um, and we'll show you the business and we'll train you how to, work every day. Basically, it's just going to work every day like any other job. We've got a decent room. It's not one of those rooms where, people pound their chest and stuff like that. Try and help new people. I also do a course. I do a mentorship course where you pay one fee and then you've got me as a mentor for life. And that's been working. We've done 4 of those so far, and
Nice.
yeah, and so people get my phone number, and it's basically like I trade over your shoulder like we would at a brokerage firm.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
It's important that people find the right guy to learn from.
yeah, and
Uh,
it
you know,
our room is like when we mess up, it's like okay, I blew that call, right?
yeah.
That's really important. Learning how to admit you're wrong is one of the most important things in this business. Really quick.
And I don't know is important.
Yeah, I don't know is really good.
And it's
I
hard to
I
say, isn't it?
I
It used to be.
yeah, I never see because when I started on the trade desk, they said sit there, shut up, don't touch anything. And so they kind of beat that humility into you. Whereas nowadays, people don't want to admit they're wrong. Being wrong is okay. Being wrong and stubborn is really expensive. Just admit you're wrong or admit you don't know. The thing is, there's so much time and trading is a marathon. You know, if you don't know today, you might see it, you might see the trade later in the afternoon. Um, you know, just kind of chill out a little bit and wait and trade on your terms when you're set up. That's another thing. We teach really two basic setups where people can make a living and do that setup like 1,000 times and get really good at it before they start improvising. And the setups are based on common sense business, lack of supply or too much supply. And the risk is already structured into those trades. So, and then we teach you how to trade with the micro, so you don't really hurt yourself when you're learning.
Right.
Otherwise, it can
Smart.
get really expensive. You know, everything is geared to being practical. Even this market profile stuff, you know, it can get overly complicated and very, you know, just it can get too much. And what I do is I just try and take that, combine it with a candle chart, which most people use, and then just try and make it really, really simple for people because the execution is the difficult part. You know, it's a lifelong process, you know, and just as soon as you get good, the market goes and changes, you know,
Yeah.
and what worked one week doesn't work the next week, right? And so we just try and teach people how to deal with that and then we try and have a bit of a laugh too because a little bit of humor kind of takes the edge off, um, you know, because a lot of retail traders they don't have support. You know, they're sitting at home. You know, it's not like you're on a trade desk where you have somebody, a risk manager, a compliance guy, owner of the firm, head trader. You have all those people kind of looking out for you when you're on a trade desk, and you don't have that in a home environment. So we try and help you learn how to be your own credit manager or your own compliance manager. You know, to think like you're in the business. And then, you know, sometimes when it's slow, we sit, you know, have a bit of a laugh instead of trying to push trades and give all our money to Citadel.
Yeah. Yeah. It's always refreshing talking to you, JJ, because
Uh,
we really get your history uh, it shows every time you talk. It you know really comes out that you lived it. You didn't read about it. You lived it. So
yeah, I lived it. Lost 14 friends and had a quintuple bypass, so I paid my dues. You know,
yeah,
it's
yeah,
you know,
you,
it's an
you know,
ugly business, but we try and help people, you know, keep perspective. I guess that's one of the things, you know. It's and sometimes these markets, my God, I've never seen markets like this where there's just no selling.
me
You
either.
know, and they're
Yeah,
tough to trade because the more short they get, the more grindy and choppy the price action gets. And that's hard for people because retail people they're sitting around and not everybody can sit around for 10 hours a day watching a screen. You know, they got jobs, wives, kids, hockey practice,
yeah,
you know, stuff like that. So it's a challenging trading environment. I think this year is going to be very challenging, and we really want to try and help support people and you know keep them, you know,
yeah. Some of the Super Bowls have been talking 6,100. I even know a guy talking 7,000 S&Ps by the fall.
you know. And the other thing too is every time they roll the contract for over, it's like 60 points higher.
Yeah,
You know, so that you know it's I could see 6,000. I 2 years ago, 3 years ago, we would have laughed.
yeah,
But the way
I
these
did.
markets trade, the
Yeah,
ranges, I mean, you get 100-point ranges now. So if you really don't watch your whiskers, you can get hurt really bad in these markets. And
yeah,
you know, it's okay. I when institutions lose money, it's okay. They're big boys, but I hate seeing retail people like people who work for their money. You know,
yeah.
I hate seeing them lose money unnecessarily. That just drives me nuts, and that's why I do what I do.
A man with a mission.
Yep.
JJ, follow him at VWAP Trader on
VWAP,
X.
yeah, VWAP Trader One.
One, yeah, don't
Yeah.
forget the one. And what's the website again? You have a
It's
website address?
micro. Yes, sir. It is microefutures.com. And thank you
Okay.
so much for having me. Here, I'll just show it again. Here we are. And yeah, drop by. We're having a
Yeah.
7-day free trial. So come and, you know, come and give me a hard time, you know? And
Yeah. Definitely a veteran. definitely a pro. So there you go. JJ,
Thank you.
really appreciate you dropping in and sharing your life experience in the industry.
Thank you so much, Coach. Have a great day.
All
Thank you.
right. All right, JJ, I'll get a hold of you. We'll get back together later in the summer. Okay, buddy?
Definitely. Always.
Oh,
Anytime.
okay. All right. So my trading warrior brother, JJ, check him out. And you could join the team in about 17 minutes on the morning edge. That's a wrap of the doubleheader. It looks like, the Bulls are getting what they wanted. We're getting this turn in rates at 78.6 level and the 10-year held. Dollar getting beat up. This is just the beginning of a dollar bear market in my view. So there will be times to get on board. And remember, don't just count your pips, count your blessings. Adios. See you guys tomorrow.
Hey traders, this is Blake Morrow with Forex Analytics. Thanks for stopping by our YouTube channel. Don't forget to like these videos, share them, and subscribe to our channel so you don't miss any of the content that we provide here for free. Thanks for stopping by. I'll see you in the next video.